There's the challenge of you get all that money paid out over the season, right? So it's not just you're 21, 22, 23 years old, and then you're getting a couple $1 million paid out over a 4 or 5 month span, and then you're expected to manage it and budget it, and you can't really even spend it during the season. So talk a little bit about the challenges that poses, because I know people who have a hard time going from I get paid every 2 weeks to once a month, right? So imagine getting everything over 4 months, and then you've got a budget and you're 22 years old and you've never been around money, didn't come from money. So talk a little about the challenges that poses.
And that's the reality. That's the truth, because we get paid for 17 weeks. We get paid for these 17 weeks, and you there's 52 weeks in the year, and there's a lot of time where it's all red going out because none of that green is coming in. So you're like, holy snap! Like, I have to really learn how to manage it, because I'm not going to get paid until week 1 or week 2. Yeah. And it's like, holy snap, like it's like an anxiety. Some people can handle it, some people can't handle it. Yeah. And that was another thing. It was just discipline. Like, all right, this is what you can and can't do, and you got to stick to it. A lot of people have issues with that, because I didn't even like getting paid every 2 weeks. If I get paid once a week, I feel better. I walk around happier, because like we win a game, I get paid. Yes, I deserve it. We lose a game, I get paid. I'm like, all right, I still feel not as bad. But getting paid every 2 weeks, you're like, oh, it is payday. Once a month, it's like, oh, it is, it is a payday. Like, you kind of forget. So I don't never like not getting paid, but the once a month, once every 2 weeks, it is harder on people, and people tend to forget, but you just have to stay disciplined. Yeah.
So that's one thing that I think people don't really realize is 17 weeks you get paid, and you're trying to navigate that for a year. And if you don't have that, it forces you. I mean, you have to have good habits to manage that, no matter who you are. But then if you don't have the habits and you make a lot of money, I mean, it is easy, and you've got family and friends and people in there, and then the other, like you said, the other part of it is you're out of season, and that's when the checks aren't coming in is when you're actually able to spend the money and taking vacations and doing all that stuff. So I know plenty of stories of guys who, by the time training camp comes back in, they need that check. Like, it's
or some need a loan.
Yeah. So you've seen that?
I've seen it all. I've seen. I can't tell you all I've seen, but I've seen it all.
Let me ask you: Were you in terms of financially? I mean, that bleeds into financial life as well. What were some of the mistakes or things you saw guys do that just were kind of for you it comes naturally, but what were some of the pitfalls that you saw guys fall into?
Man, it's always the same kind of pitfall that, everyday humans fall into. They buy a new car, they buy a new house, or, they didn't do enough research on the value of something that, they're putting their money into, basically. They've always, in all the cities, say, hey, stay away from, the girls, the spending too much money at the clubs and the bars and stuff like that. It's the same pitfalls that, everyday humans have, buying 3 or 4 cars, houses, or you get a free agent signing to a new city, or you drive to a new city and they buy a house, right? Then they get cut by a training camp, and you're like, oh snap, he just bought a house. But that's, that's it's not just football players, that's just everyday humans. When you get a lot of money, you're like, hey, I got to spend it.
70% of lottery winners go broke, right? So
football players are lottery winners, some people say.
Yeah. And the athletes get a bad rap because the money part, but they're not doing anything different than the population.